Hello and welcome to another episode of Freelance Fridays, the show where we get some creators together and ask them one big question. I am joined, as always, by my amazing co host and the original inventor of the peace sign, Ashley Ulmer.
Let's be real. I did not invent the peace sign. The Spice Girls did. Okay, I just claimed it as my own.
If you
How's
guys
it
haven't
going?
seen it yet, Ashley did a killer illustration of the Spice
Oh.
Ghouls, which is a delightful play on words. Um, Yeah, if you're always talking about the sauce, I feel like your sauce is like 90s wonderful little illustrations and like quirky ideas, like mash those together, and it's always something unexpected and wonderful. But
Yes.
Ashley, we're not talking about the Spice Girls today. What are we talking about? What's our big question for this episode?
Well, first of all, I think an episode just to talk about the Spice Girls would be actually really quality content. But we are not talking about that today. We're talking about how to create merch that sells out. Like, what is a good way to be successful in running a merch line and a clothing line? And I'm really excited to talk about this. This is going to be really fun because I feel like I
I
have quite a bit I can contribute.
I'm excited about this too, and I was thinking about that. Like, oh shoot! Like, not only is Ashley an accomplished designer, but for those of you that have missed like previous episodes, Ashley and her husband have like run a print shop. So not only you kind of been on both sides of the coin, from like client designer to like designing for people to selling your own stuff, kind of seen every step along the way.
For sure.
Um, yeah, and I'm also super pumped about our guests. I'm excited about each of them individually, but I'm really excited to have them both on the same episode too, because I know they'll have a lot of great notes.
Yeah,
The
I'm
first
pumped.
one is my boy Corbin Crosby. You guys may know him from Jonah the Brand. I'm trying to think of the first time that I saw your stuff come into the world, dude. But it was definitely like I think it was one of those creative arts department hats. Like that was kind of
Yeah.
like your claim to fame. But I mean, you've got so many cool ideas beyond that, and love seeing all your new drops. And we're also joined by the one and only Pedro Tuma.
What's
And
up?
Hello.
Pedro is you may know him from his involvement in Friends and Family. And Pedro, you and I have I've bumped into you a couple of times. You may not remember, but I think one of the first times I actually spoke, or actually my wife spoke to you, was at the VU conference a few years ago. But during COVID, during the pandemic, they had a breakout session, and my wife sent me to go get some Chick-fil-A, and I was like, "Oh, like how's the breakout?" She said it was cool. There's this really great guy in there. His name is Pedro. I said, "You chatted with Pedro Tuma for 30 minutes while I was at the store," and so uh, it's been cool seeing your journey from afar. Like both of you guys are visionary and have some really just interesting stuff to bring to the table. Um, Guys, thank you all again for joining us. Let's go ahead and just jump on into this topic. We're going to be talking
Let's do
about
it.
how to sell out of merch. You guys have both done it, and I think it's always interesting to do this because like you can't ever. At least I assume you can never like guarantee or pick, what's gonna sell out. But
Yeah.
would love to kind of just hear you guys kind of share about the process and what that looks like for each of you. We're gonna go round robin, so we'll go Corbin, Pedro, Ashley, Josh.
Cool.
Dope. So yeah, just like the kind of process for us of selling out the
Yeah,
merch.
how do you know like which one's gonna have that spicy, like that special little something that's gonna like, ooh, that one's gonna
Oh,
fly off the rack.
well, I've never known that, and I'm so many products deep, and I cannot figure it out. But I mean, for us at the beginning, it was just kind of all we could afford to buy was the lowest minimum. And so we
Okay.
sold out because we only had 20 of anything. And so it was just like that was our selling out. And so
I mean,
yeah, I mean it's just kind of
I've certainly told youth pastors to do the same as like buy less things than you think your kids like buy way less than how many kids you have. And like you want that to create that scarcity, whether it's artificially
100%.
or authentically. And like I love that that's kind of your approach too, is like let's just get in there with that minimum order, baby.
Yeah, minimum order. And when we started Jonah, I mean, it's kind of evolved now, but like when we started Jonah, the like sell out mindset and the like scarcity was like so big. It was in quarantine and like all the, like all the drops, the sneaker drops and the brands, like the faster you can drop something and then say it's sold out, the cooler you were.
Oh
And so
yeah,
the minimums were the dream
2.
because it was like, oh, I only have 24. I literally have 10 friends that I asked to buy it. So I only got to sell 14 of them. So let's do it.
I love that. What you got, Pedro?
I think for us, we never like plan to sell out. For me, it's always like, even to this day, I'm happy. Like I always have like a very low expectation. So it's like, if it passes that, I'm cool. So even at launch for us, it's like, honestly, for me, for launch is like, if I sell 20 t-shirts at launch, I would be super happy, you know? So for me, that was like my goal when we launched, was if I sell 20, 25 t-shirts, I'm good. There was nothing strategically that we did that we're like, this is what we're going to do to hopefully sell out. But I will tell you this is what I learned is, in the beginning, selling out is really cool because I think it creates like that culture of like people not wanting to miss out for the next drop. So that was cool for us for like the first 4 drops. But now it's cool and it does create that. But then we go so long without having anything on the site. So it's like messages of like, yo, we're trying to buy the stuff, and this has happened even till right now. But so then little by little, I tried figuring out, okay, what's the quantity that we got to do to not sell out? So now we're selling out is not cool. Having inventory on our site is cooler.
Yeah.
Dang, that's facts.
Yo, that's a mature problem to have. Like so many people are like, I have all these boxes of stuff that I can't move, and you're like, wait. Like, let's balance the hype with actual business sense here.
Like right
and
now,
I see that.
My goal right now is, which I don't know if we're gonna hit it, but I want to have a lot of product for Black Friday. We've never been able to do a real Black Friday because we don't have anything.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
That's so facts.
I love that.
It's also crazy
Ash,
too,
what you
because coming through like trends speaking, like when we started, selling out was cool, but like now now it's all print on demand stuff. So like no one is posting those sell out banners because, just like Pedro said, it's not cool anymore. It's like, let's put this up for a window, sell as much as we can, and then we print on demand to fulfill everyone that ordered.
You know what I did notice that I didn't know that brands did? Like, I thought brands were selling out for real. But I was hearing a podcast the other day of this brand. It's like a women's brand that a lot of girls follow. And I think she kind of slipped up in the podcast. And it's like they literally market sold out. And I always wonder, like, yo, how did it sell out? Like, what did you do? You remade more, and then it just a couple months or a month later, now you have more inventory.
Yeah.
So what they do is they mark it as sold out, hold it, and then just re-release it as a restock.
Yeah. They're generating that hype. Yeah.
Yeah, which is pretty genius as well, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know if I would do something like that, but I guess
it's clever, but then there's a little party that's like, ooh.
I feel like that's kind of like playing with fire a little bit. Like that's like that would make me feel like nervous, like if I was doing that. But I can speak to like selling merch that sells out. Like, so I don't know if you guys know my backstory, but my husband and I, we had a clothing line starting in 2007 through 2013-ish. And so I haven't sold the clothing line. I mean, I've done little lines and stuff throughout the years, but that was like our bread and butter for like a hot minute. And I'm interested in, when we keep going, to kind of talk about how you guys market differently now than we did back then, because it was a totally different market. But the thing that I found that made us sell out back in the day is the hype around it. Like, so we would get bands we would sponsor bands. So like basically like the equivalent would be like an influencer today. So we would get a band to wear it in a magazine for us or on MySpace or on a music video or whatever. And because of that, people would think, oh, they're so much more legit, you know, or whatever. They would seem a lot bigger than they are, and people would want to buy it because bands were wearing it. So that was like how we would sell out. And I would notice back then, like the trend would be things that would sell out were definitely more simple, like less colors, just like the one color big logo type of thing. And definitely like our like genre or market was like scene kids or like, you know, the music scene. So we would always sell out of black tees. Like no matter what the design was, if it was on a black tee, it was gone. But like if we tried doing like a weird yellow or something like that, like it would be a lot slower. So I don't know. I guess it kind of depends on who your market is, like how you present it to them and how much it's going to sell out.
Yeah.
So Ash, all this time, I've thought you guys were like a mostly like print shop for bands. So bands would come to you like, here's our like crappy artwork, like make 100 of them, please.
That was, so the first, there's two waves. So we had two businesses. So the first one was the clothing line, which like I said, we were marketed to like scene bands. We were called Veil Arms back in the day.
Wait,
that was
we got to look this up. What's the name of it?
Veil Arms Clothing. I don't think you can find anything. Maybe on MySpace. Like try looking on MySpace, Veil Arms. I don't even know. There's no website for it now, but you can try even.
Can you still go to MySpace? Like, is the actual website still?
Albuquerque, New Mexico. It's on Yelp.
Is it?
You're on the yellow pages
we had the clothing line first, and then we like morphed into screen printing because we were doing that anyway. And then we had churches at the time asking like, oh, who prints your shirts or whatever. So we're like, oh, well, we can just do it. So we started doing screen printing, and then the clothing line died. And then we just did screen printing for, you know, a few years, and then that died. And then now we don't do that anymore.
We'd love to see it. That makes a ton of sense though. With like the crossover audience there.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
I like
that. If you can find anything, Josh, that would be hilarious. I don't even know if there's anything.
I'm pulling it up. I got you on Yelp. It's coming up on Google image search with a lot of like wedding stuff, but like this is I'd 100% showed up to these type of activities back in the day.
Unclaimed. I'm gonna go claim it on Yelp.
Yeah, there you go. No, those are not. Okay, that was our logo.
We're gonna bring it back.
For real, I've actually thought about it. I'm like, I kind of want to secretly revive it, but I'd have to like dig into like the depths of who would even remember it. Like it'd be like old scene kids. Like, hey guys, do you remember us?
Yeah, that's like throwback to a niche like audience there.
Yes.
Yes. Isn't scene like kind of like coming back? There's like a big like reunion.
Oh heck yeah,
happening right now.
Yeah, with all the When We Were Young and Blink
and stuff. Yeah.
It would be the perfect time. You know what? That's a really good idea. I mean, I don't know. We'll see.
Go claim it on Yelp before I do.
I love that. So that's an interesting one. I would love to like, for context, like hear from you, Corbin and Pedro, like what's y'all's backstory? Like I know who you guys are today, and Corbin, like, you know, when I worked with you on some of those designs, like I know, or I gathered some of your like backstory and kind of process available in like reels and stuff. But like what, you know, what experience did y'all bring to the table? Maybe at like day zero of starting the brand.
Day zero experience for me. I have no like design background. No, we actually have a print shop now too. The first day we were in our print shop, we bought it from a guy here in Seattle. No printing background, but I had a music background, went to school for music and was releasing music and just couldn't afford to pay people to do my cover art. And so kind of got a Adobe trial during quarantine to make my own cover art. And after I retired from music, I decided to keep on with the graphics because that was what I actually enjoyed doing. The music just made me depressed and stuff. And so it just kind of snowballed into Jonah now.
That's cool.
And for those of you that don't know, Corbin's literally living out the millennial dream. Like COVID happened, he's in his apartment. He's like, I want to start a clothing line. And I've had conversations like this with people all the time. They're like, I want to start something. I'm like, cool. Like, sounds great. Like, here's what I know about like the risks and getting involved and stuff. But you literally did. You had like the single, like pulling single screens in your house. Like you got the one order of hats done and like just drop ship from your house. Or I shouldn't say drop ship. You shipped them out from your house and the thing just took off. And now it's your full-time gig and you got a brick and mortar. And that's dope. It feels like you just kind of, I don't know, whatever. And then like we're wildly successful. Like good on you. Pedro,
wildly
what about
successful is so nice of you to say.
Well, hey, you're doing what a lot of people wish they could do. I should put it that way.
Yeah.
Definitely did more than I did during quarantine. This guy did music, learned to design, started a clothing line.
Man, I was bored.
Did it all. I learned how to make acai bowls during quarantine.
Nice.
That's a great skill. I'd give it all up for an acai bowl, honestly.
Yeah. For me, when we started the brand, I've been doing design for a while. I actually started off in like the print industry. So I had a printing company back in like 2005. We did like, the banners and flyers and all that type of stuff. And then 2008, like when the market crashed, all of our clients were like realtors and contractors. Yeah, all went out of business. And then that's when I got into apparel. Funny story. I don't know if I've told a lot of people, but I hated doing shirts. Like people would walk into our office asking for shirts, like for their business, and I would always turn it away. Like what? Yeah, I didn't like doing it at all.
Like designing it, or like the process of ordering it?
No, like designing, the process of the whole thing. I just didn't like doing shirts. Yeah. So then when I had to close that down, I had to that's how I got into apparel. So I ended up getting a job designing t-shirts. The way that I got the job was literally putting flyer graphics on t-shirts. Like that was my,
wow.
Trying to make it, which is, they're two different worlds. Designing for print and designing for apparel is two different worlds. So I get this job, and a couple of months into it, like they call me into the office to kind of fire me. He's like, hey, you're a great guy, super nice, but he's like, your designs are just not cutting it. And that moment is what changed my life. Literally, I walked out of that office because I couldn't lose that job at that time. This is like when the market crashed, everything was so bad. I walk out of there and I'm like, bro, I'm learning everything there is about this industry. Like, I'm not just going to learn how to design. I'm going to learn about materials. I'm going to learn screen printing. I'm going to learn fabrics. I'm going to learn who are the designers in the industry. And that's literally what set me apart, was that I never became like this amazing designer. Even now, like you look at myself, it's very simple, clean layout stuff. But what's always set me apart is like the knowledge of the industry, you know? So I did that for a couple years. I think I was there for about a year and a half or 2 years. And then I started Tuma Design, which is our agency designing for other brands, which I still have. We do that. I've had that for, I think, about 15 years now, almost.
Cool.
So yeah, I've had all that experience before starting. And then with that Tuma Design, what we do is all clothing brands. So we do creative direction and design for them. So I always knew what it took to start a clothing line. That's why it took me so long to do it, because I knew the amount of time and money that it took to do it.
Yeah.
So when I started Friends and Family, I knew it was the right time to finally do it.
When did Friends and Family start? Like, what year was that?
I think it was 2018, I want to say.
Okay. That's about when I bumped into it. So I didn't know if I was like late to the party or not. But
yeah. I think it was 2018 when we started it.
Cool.
Yeah. Probably. So I started working on it a year before we launched. So 2017, 2018 we launched. Yeah.
Yeah, that was delightful. And go ahead, Ash.
Oh, no. You can go ahead. I was going to ask him a question about both of their experience as far as screen printing, like brands that are like on trend now. Like, because I'm like I said, I knew what we were doing like back in the day, but it's different now. So like like my goal is to start, I don't want to start like an apparel line, but I definitely to sell some merch along with my stuff I sell. So I wanted to like pick their brains a little bit as far as, and then also kind of compare the difference between 2007 to 2022. Like, you
There's
know what
no
I mean?
difference.
Like,
it's the
because
exact
it's a
same.
huge difference. Yeah. Like literally like I'm like a dinosaur. Like it doesn't like compute anymore. So anyway, no, I was going to ask you guys, like, what is the best way that you guys have found to market yourselves? Like, is it social media? Like, is that your biggest thing? I know, like, for back in the day for us, it was MySpace, and you know that was it. And then also like print stuff, like magazines and stuff. But I know print is basically dead, like in my mind. So is it mostly? Have you guys found success through campaigns on social media, like marketing that way? And do you guys pay for that type of stuff, or is it just all kind of organic?
For us, we pay for all of our marketing is done through Instagram. We're like trying to crack the TikTok bubble, but it's taking a little longer for us. But we're doing great. We have we do everything through Instagram. We run paid ads and boosted ads whenever we have drops that we try to do once a month. And they work great for us just in terms of engagement and driving people to the website. And we've never done any marketing outside of Instagram, and we love it. It's been great.
Cool. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Pedro?
The first brand I ever did was, I think, in 2000, might have been 2009, I think, and it was a kids brand. And I don't even know like if Instagram was like popping back then, but like the way that we would market that was like, it was a kids brand. So we were like on all like the big mom blogs, getting write-ups about the brand and all that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that was good. To be honest with you, like we haven't done any marketing for friends and family. We've never done any paid marketing. And it's not because we don't want to. I think, again, it comes back to just by the time the marketing rolls out, we don't have inventory.
Yeah.
So that's why I've never been able to like really plan it out strategically. Which again, you know, people could look at that and be like, oh, how cool, you've done it without marketing, which is not cool at all. Like, yeah, like I think the way that Corbin's saying, like you guys have marketing, I think like, and I want to get there. We're literally working towards that. We just got to figure out what are the quantities we got to do.
Yeah.
Inventory. And even when the marketing, because all that stuff takes time to hit. It's not like you roll out this marketing ad campaign and it hits right away. It's like, it takes time.
Yeah.
So, you know, we're just trying to figure all that out. Even like getting it out to like a lot of my friends who would help promote this. And like, if people were to see it on them, I've never been able to really do that either, you know, like, because it's just one of the hardest things of our brand is like just planning everything out. It's like
for real,
the theme of the collection, getting the designs done, then planning the photo shoot, planning the, you know, what the photo shoot is going to look like, then put everything on the website, the social media, that whole thing. It's like, it's so like, people don't understand like how much time,
a lot of hours
that takes.
Yeah.
To then try to think of also like, oh, let's get a package out to this person before we do the drop. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then all that, and then it's like, okay, now we got to do production. How long is production going to take? Can we get samples to send those out first? It's this whole, you know? So yeah, when it comes to marketing, we haven't done any right now.
Interesting.
And I would assume, Pedro, like, you know, a clumsy fix to that is like, oh, let's just 5x our order, right? Like, you know, you'll have product then, but then you're like on that like razor thin edge of like hype versus business kind of deal. Like,
I'm the type where I freak out with that stuff. Like, I have clients ask me, oh, how much should we order? I'm like, bro, don't ask me. Like, because I'll order 5. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just, because of that kids brand, the story with that kids brand is like, to this day, I think it's the coolest kids brand I've ever done. I don't know. See if you can find it. It was called Bumps and Bruises.
Oh, great name.
Yeah,
That's
which
cool.
is the dopest name also. Our logo was like a little blade and it was a spoon.
Oh, cute.
Yeah. So what happened with that? Like I thought it was amazing. We ordered all this inventory. I literally thought we would sell out day one. Like that was my mentality. Like there was no plan B. It's like we're selling out day one. Dude, I had inventory of that in my for 5 years. Like I literally, it would just sit there. I'm
That's
like,
the
I want to
fear.
get rid of it until finally one day I literally just gave it all away. Yeah, there it is.
That's
Where can
cool.
I see some? Oh, there's the website.
Yeah, I can definitely feel that,
Oh
Pedro.
wow, I love that.
What is
We
it?
had
On
stuff.
Instagram?
This is on Facebook.
Oh, okay, Facebook. Yeah, there you go. You see.
Oh man, the fist.
How cool. Yeah, I can feel that. Like we definitely had like throughout the years, like there would be some, pieces of merch that would just fly and then some that would sit in our garage for years. Like, and we'd have to like do like $5 sales or whatever to get rid of them. Cause like you can never tell like what's going to do well, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me now, it's like I'm scared of like stuff just sitting there, you know?
That is utterly terrifying to me too. And one of the many reasons I'm not in this game is one, I just don't trust my eye. Like clearly all three of you guys have identified like, oh, this is what the people want. Like boxy cut is in, or, oh, we need the deep V and it's black. It's not pale yellow or whatever back in the day.
The deep V.
And like, I've just never had a good like nose for that stuff. And so, yeah, the same thing, like, say I do a design that doesn't work for a client, like, oh, we don't like it. Okay, well, cool. Let's do something different. But there's like a commitment with any like physical good like this, where you're like, all right, cool. Like we put the money on the table. We've got the stuff here at the warehouse or the house or the shop, and everyone hates it. Like they hate the whole capsule. They hate the whole drop. Like, what do we do now? Right. Like that would always be playing in the back of my head. I'm sure that's true for you guys though.
Yeah, I always tell people there's this thing called the Edison theory, where it's like you stand in front of a room and you show them like, hey, this is my new cold brew coffee that's coming out. How many of you like it? Everybody raises their hand, right? It's like they love it. It's amazing. It looks so good. The moment you say it's for sale, it's like, 75% of those hands go down. Yeah. So it's like you can't get caught up in the hype of like, oh, all my friends are telling me that they love it.
Oh yeah.
Like all my family says
don't trust your friends.
Yeah, but again, the lesson in that, like I always tell people, like when you want to start a brand, like make sure you have a good community of people that are going to support what you're doing.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's always the start of starting a brand. So for me, when I started Friends and Family, the reason I knew that it was a good time was not only because I had the time and I was able to do it financially, but also because I had a really good community of people that I knew were going to support what I did. Right. Yeah. So now the ball's in my court. I just got to provide a really good product. Like I'm the kind of person, like I don't complain about like, oh, you don't like my post or you don't buy my stuff. That's on me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like if I drop a dope hoodie, you buy it. You know what I'm saying? If it's not dope, you're not gonna buy it.
Yeah.
So the whole thing is like have a community of people that at least those people are gonna support to start. But then the hard part comes getting past those people.
Yeah.
Right? That's where the true brand comes in, where it's like my friends supported it, my family supported it. Yeah. How do I get past that for people to really like it? And not only that, but how do I get my friends and my family to support it beyond just support, where they actually want to wear it and like it?
Yeah. Like your mom's buying an ugly sweatshirt no matter what, because she's got to support her baby. But like, like what would get mom to actually get excited about it?
But have that group of people who are going to buy your ugly thing at first, at least, just to get it going.
Yeah.
And then the ball's on your court, like provide a good product.
Yeah. And I think the thing is like thinking about it, like brands or even products, like I can relate to that even right now, like, because I sell my little keychains or whatever. Like it has to not only be a good product, it has to have heart behind it. Like it has to have a message behind it. Like, because people aren't going to buy a shirt just like, I mean, like you said, your close-knit friends, your family, they'll buy it to support you. But at some point, when they have 3 of your keychains, they're not going to keep buying it. You know what I mean? Like, it has to have a message behind it so that people relate to it. So like our clothing line back in the day, the message was hope. Like, we were like a Christian line, and the whole thing is like, you know, we spoke to like the scene kids. Like, our hope was like the scene kids would come to know Jesus through shows we would do or things. Like, it was like more so like a movement versus the design was cool. Like, they wanted to be a part of this community because it meant more than a t-shirt. You know what I mean? So I think there has to be like some type of message behind it for it to work.
Clothing, like, there's literally brands that pop up every day, like so many of them, right? Like,
oh yeah.
What I always tell people, the hardest part about building a brand is getting people to believe in what you're doing.
Yeah.
Right? How am I going to get Corbin to buy Friends and Family when he's been wearing, you know, Supreme for the last 10 years? Right? It's like, he already knows the brand. He trusts the brand. That's what he wears. How am I going to get him to now trust my brand?
Yeah.
That only comes through consistency. Right. And I've always said, like, what messed me up with that kids brand was, oh man, it didn't sell out day one. I'm done. Right.
Yeah.
Continue to do this. Like, why would people buy it day one? They don't even know who we are. Right.
Right.
So my thing with Friends and Family was, whether we sell 5 t-shirts today or we sell 1,000 t-shirts today, in the works is already collection 2.
Yeah.
Right? Because we're going to be consistent. We know that it takes time for people to start believing in what you're doing. The only way that's is you continue to put stuff out, right? It's like, you see it the first time, it's like, oh, that's a cool brand, but you don't buy into it yet because you still, you know, these are the brands that you wear right now.
Yeah.
Collection 2 is like, oh, that's dope. And then you start seeing people wearing. So that's why I'd say building a brand takes time and money, right? It's like, you got to be 3 collections in for you to buy 1 t-shirt from me, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just what it takes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So I've got a question here. So I alluded to it earlier, Corbin, with your creative arts department hat. And if you're only thinking about money or like, at some level, even like building the brand, like that was picking up steam. And actually you've talked about like, okay, like what's the message? What's the story? What like kind of universe am I buying into in this brand that I'm developing? Because like, Corbin, you could have hung up your spurs and said, dope, I found my golden goose. Like, I'm just printing these till Jesus comes back and we'll do them in every color. And we're going to like, you know, trying to get one of the Kardashians to wear it or whatever. And like people
that would be
eating
dope.
it up. Right. And like, and yeah, you've done some like reprints or whatever. But like I could tell like, even from like my very first conversation with you, like, yeah, that's a cool thing that I did, but like, there's more to the story. Like there's more things that I want to do. Like I want to expand beyond that. I'm glad that was successful, but I'm actually trying to get out of the shadow of that and, you know, speak into life some of these other things that I've got kind of rolling around in my head.
Mm-hmm.
And Pedro, I'm sure you guys have had the same thing where there's like, I don't know it specifically, but like the one t-shirt that sold out 4 times, like you could just ride off into the sunset with that. But like, how do you balance like giving the people what they want versus, hey, y'all don't even know you want this yet. Like I've got vision for what this thing could be. Come with me over there. Cause I feel like you've got to like push forward and keep people coming along in order to keep everything afloat. It's a really convoluted question, but I'd love to hear y'all's notes on that.
I mean, for us, we just package it all together because, I mean, honestly, we have just rode on the coattails of the creative arts department hats this whole time. They're in every single drop we do. We've done every color available on the Auto website, and they sell out every time, and we just keep dropping them and we keep restocking them. But then we also package, every drop is 2 creative arts department hats, but it's also the hat that you have on that literally says the same thing, but just a different style. Or this new thing we're doing, artsy. It's like packing up. It's just packaging them with the other things that the stuff that you say like, oh, you don't know you want this yet, but add this on with the creative arts department hat that you have.
And like
That's good for
I feel
us.
like it builds depth to the brand too. Cause like the flower guy shirt you made and like the
Hmm.
Mariners redo logo, like clearly there is a story behind the flower guy or the flower shop shirt, right? Like I don't know what
Yeah.
it is, but I'm sure like there's clearly more to kind of pull on from there.
Yeah. Um, yeah, and what you said earlier too, like in your question about trying to get out of the shadow of that, is also a real thing too on the flip side of it, of no matter what we drop, our DMs are gonna be, please restock the
Where's the
creative arts
hat?
department hat. It's like, please, we've done it so many times, let me live. But yeah, like packaging it. And yeah, and the flower guy hat is just, everything we do is just kind of like by the seat of our pants, if that's the phrase. But just one day I got it's in Seattle, we were walking by Pike Place Market. Oh, that was a tough one. And got a bouquet, and I don't know why I've never liked flowers. I guess just in my head I was like, I'm a manly man, I don't need to like flowers. And I got a bouquet, and I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. I'm walking around with it in my tote bag, and like people are complimenting the bouquet and like starting conversations. And I was like, wow, I'm a flower guy now. Went to my studio, put it on a hat, thing sold out. I was like, okay, solidified flower guy now.
I love that.
Yeah. That's kind of
That's
our whole
awesome.
brand, is just, what's gonna work? Let's try it. Works, it works. If it doesn't, I have one and I think it's cool. So that's all that matters.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Trying to find the flower guy stuff. Pedro, have y'all had a
It's not
similar
up.
thing where it's not up, it's on Instagram?
We're having
Have y'all
a
had anything
big
similar where
drop.
like the people just keep pushing for like where's the thing y'all dropped 2 drops ago?
I think it happens. There's like certain products that people still ask for. But yeah, I don't know. Like the only thing we've ever reprinted, and this was during quarantine, was like this like royal blue set that we did. That sold really well, and it sold really fast. So we just reprinted it and did it again. But that's it. We've never reprinted anything before. I think like, I don't know. I'm never in anything I do. I've never been driven by like by money, right? Like,
Sure.
like yeah, we could print a lot more of these and make more money. But I think for me it's more of like, it's like running a marathon, right? It's like I'm in this,
Facts.
I'm in this for like the long haul, right? It's like I'm not trying to make a quick buck overnight. And I'm not saying that that's wrong. I'm just saying like for us, like there's a bigger story and a bigger mission to like what we're trying to do. And I think like if we were to be driven by money, like again, there's a fine line there because it is important in business to keep it going and continue
Right.
building it, obviously, right? And again, it's not saying that I'll never do it. I think if there's a product that I feel very strong about, I wouldn't mind redoing it. And if it's something that's like very true to the brand, I wouldn't mind redoing it. But as of right now, we haven't done anything like that.
Pedro,
Throwing it back up.
would you like say your brand would be more so like there's like, I guess it would be like exclusivity, like as far as like once something is sold out, it's done, like that, and it makes it almost like more special for the the customer to have it, because like is it like you won't
It's
reprint it
actually
again?
got sold out. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's actually like you, once you get like once these are gone, like you can't get them anymore, like that's a closed thing.
Right. I think in the beginning that was kind of the idea, right? Where it's like we want to create this like want, right? Where people are like in a rush to get it when we drop it. And I think we did a good job at that, even from our very first drop. But like I said, like right now, I don't want it to be like, I want it to be able like where people go on the site and there's a bunch of stuff to choose from.
Yeah.
Mhm.
There's
Yeah.
different,
They
like,
can build a whole wardrobe in like one
yeah,
swoop. Yeah.
like I still would want like some things to kind of like, and I think like every brand, right? There's always going to be these pieces that do a lot stronger than others.
Mhm.
So yeah, I don't mind if there's pieces that do really well and sell out. I don't want like the whole collection to just like,
Yeah.
so
Because that's kind of the worst thing ever is like you do all this work to, somebody's talking about you at the coffee shop and their friend goes, "Oh man, that's so dope. Love your sweatshirt." They go on, everything is sold out. Well, like you got to really, really make an impression if you want them to show up again 3 months later and go and like
Remember
keep
it. Yeah.
refreshing and
Mhm.
checking back. Like you want to have something that they can,
That's
become a part of
exactly
the family at that point. No pun
Yeah.
intended.
that's exactly it right there. Is that
Mhm.
it's like I don't want people to think like, oh, he's saying that selling out is not cool. I'm sure he would love to sell out. Like, yeah, bro. Like if we were to make, these crazy amount of quantities and it did sell out, amazing. But I
Yeah.
want people, like when I talk to people and I run into people, I want to exactly what you said. It's like, yo, go on the site. I always have to tell people, it's like, oh, it's not even available anymore.
Mhm.
Yeah. I could see that being a,
Cool, but it's not. Like what you said, like I think our idea kind of was to be kind of exclusive, but we're not. We want to be inclusive. Like,
Yeah.
we want to
That's
build
good.
a community of people that support what we're doing, support the message, and are able to buy our products, right? Like I
Right.
love that right now it's in Urban Outfitters. That just expands,
Yep.
who
It's huge.
Yeah, that's
so,
awesome.
yeah, like I think if our mentality was that we want to sell out and we wanted to do that type of model, we probably wouldn't have chosen to go into Urban Outfitters.
Can I just
Yeah.
say, like, when we had our clothing line back in the day, literally my dream was to be in Urban Outfitters. That was like the goal, and we never reached it. And I literally sent them, like, back in the day, you had to send them like a press kit and merch and stuff, and they said no. So congratulations, you're living my dream.
This is how much cooler you are than me, Ashley, because even back then, like I don't think I'd heard of Urban Outfitters. I was a Hot Topic guy.
Yeah,
So it
we
was
tried
like,
Hot Topic
Hot
too. That
topic.
we
Yo,
probably yeah.
I've played some of the most awkward sets of my life in Hot Topic stores in like dead malls. It's you're gonna talk about like cringy, like you could play like a little acoustic set at a coffee shop or something. When you've got your crew and you're in the middle of this empty Hot Topic in Macon, Georgia, and you're like counting down the seconds of like when is this over? Because like when you get that sweaty feel, like AC's running but you're sweating, that's what that feels like. That was
Oh, the worst feeling ever.
that's a grind, baby.
That's a grind.
That's a whole separate deal. But yeah, so I would love to. So a lot of our audience is folks that are on staff at churches or serve churches, and I would love to kind of give these people some takeaways, give them some handles. So like, hey, I'm thinking about printing merch for our worship team, or our church's 25th anniversary is coming up. Man, so good for you guys having like access to all these cool cuts and a really like engaged audience and like a brand that it's able to take some risks here. But like how does this fit in my world? Like what advice do you guys have for those folks? Because I think that we talked about like baby stepping into some of this stuff, like hey, you need an audience. Well, a lot of churches have that audience, like want to represent, they're proud of their church, and but just how do you balance, like we're doing some brave things without being stuck with a bunch of boxes, might be the way to frame that.
Yeah.
What's the question?
The question is, I am a church person. I'm a communications director at a church, and I'm thinking about printing merch. What advice do you have for us? It could be quantities. It could be, how risky do we get with our cuts and colors, or like how do we design stuff that people actually want? Like just any advice to help them have a better experience in that process.
I could speak on that a little. I think the important thing is to remember that you are a church, right? It's like you're not a clothing line. So
shoot.
I would never recommend a church to like try and get super trendy and do the boxy cuts and try, you know what I'm saying? Like I think
facts.
the main thing is the church. The merch is just something. It's like the church is the main event, right? And it's like you're at this concert and you're just buying the merch from this event that you're just at. So I think it's like you got to keep it simple. Like even Boo, right? I haven't done any of like the last couple of drops that they've done, but for me, it was just, even to this day, I tell Pastor Rich, like, bro, let's just do stuff that just says Voo on it, like very clean, and so that's what people want.
Yeah,
right?
because it's the message. That's the heart behind it. That's why people love it, is for what the church is.
Yeah,
so that's all it needs. Yeah.
Dang, that's good.
So for me, that's the main thing. It's like, don't try to get super cool with it. Just, I think it's awesome that churches are creating merch and giving their members something to represent and wear and start conversations. I just would recommend, remember that you are a church, not a clothing line. You're just offering a product from this event or this church and this organization.
Yeah.
Dang.
That's it. Summed up right there. You're not a clothing line. You don't have to worry about, like selling out or marketing. Just keep it simple, keep it broad.
Yeah.
We've been working with a lot of churches, and a lot of the creative directors that we're working with at churches now are young people and young kids that have brands on the side that print on LA Apparel and Rue Porter and stuff. But the older people in their church are like, what is this? Why is this a blanket that I have on? Why is this neck and collar like this? And so we have to go. We've realized through trial and error with the church that we worked with, you just got to keep it broad, keep it simple. I mean, everything Pedro said, you don't need the boxy cut. You don't need to buy as much as you can. And there's no harm in doing a restock, or there's no harm in anything, because you're not a clothing brand.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say, like speaking from like the printing side of it, like, because obviously we printed for churches for many years. So like seeing success in that is kind of like what you said, Corbin, like you don't have to start out by having like a massive amount of shirts. Like my recommendation for like a small church who's like, oh, we want to start selling shirts, is order even the minimum quantity, like, 24, 45 pieces, whatever the shop's quantity is, and do that and see how that goes. But also keep in mind who your market is. So like if you're selling it to the broad audience of the entire church, like you said, both of you said, like, you don't need the fancy, cuts and all that stuff. Just get like a basic tee that's nice. It doesn't have to be ridiculous. But if you are marketing it towards like, college age or youth group or whatever, obviously market it towards that, because if you're going to buy them, I don't even know what brands are cool these days, but you know what I mean? Like you're going to want to, get something that they're going to like, but also not oversaturate it in buying so much product where you're going to be left with a ton of merch left over.
Yeah.
So I think there's no harm in doing a small run, selling out, and then doing it again.
I will say the flip side of all that, though, is I'm a big believer in the church leading in creativity.
Mm-hmm.
Right? When we first started New Church, like literally, like my message to the design team was like, I don't want to be known as a church that does cool graphics. I just want to be known as that we do cool graphics. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to be labeled just under a church that does cool things. It's like, no, we do cool things in general. So like, I'm also a big believer in like, if we're going to do merch, let's do it right.
Yeah.
Right? Like, let's lead in that. But like you said, it's like, you got to know your market. You got to know your audience. You can't be like a small church trying to do crazy amount of things. I think for us, like at VU, we've done full cut and sew before. So we've also done, the simple stuff, but we've also done like full cut and sew products. But again, our church is very culture driven. We reach, way outside the four walls of our church. Like we've done events for Art Basel, right? It's like the merch Art Basel. We want to make sure that it's to the standard of everyone who's doing it around us as well, right?
Yeah.
think there's like a balance there, like leading in everything that we do, but also knowing your audience.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's super good. And I feel like the big takeaway, or to kind of put a bow on that, like you want to like really serve the group that you're making shirts for. So if you're in rural county of Arkansas, and maybe you're the worship director and you see what's happening in bigger metro areas and you like this cut and you like this style, but then you're trying to like cram that down the throats of the people that are in your church. Maybe they're heading that way or maybe not. And you need to be open-handed enough to, do something a little bit lamer, a little bit less like bleeding edge, if that's what's right for your community.
Yeah.
And I've been guilty of being that like whippersnapper in that, example. But then on the flip side of that, Pedro, you're kind of talking about balancing out the other way. Like the church should be leading the charge in creativity. We should be, like creating fresh ideas and bringing new life to some of these conversations. And do we need to do like the other pitfall that I see a ton of churches fall into is it feels like they're not even trying. Like they're just slapping it on things and like the logo or whatever it is. And I'm just like, the only reason this is selling is because you guys love your church, not because you would never wear this shirt outside of the context of you're in the room buying it here. So
Can I give like some practicals also?
Oh, please.
Well, I mean, everything everyone has said is practical, but just like from a screen printer standpoint, because just us working with churches and I mean, everyone really, it can feel like such a like daunting, overwhelming process. But when you find a screen printer, they're also going to be able to have access to garment catalogs, and they know the ones that are most popular, and they know the good fits of things. And like a Bell and Canvas tee, that's what your screen printer is going to say. That's the most popular one, and that's just a basic, regular cut T-shirt. For your designs, the designers out there, designing for the churches, the size. This is huge for everyone we work with, because all the like young creative directors want to do the huge like cactus plant flea market type stuff.
Oh yeah.
Like calm down a little bit. It's 12 inches wide by 15 inches tall. That's your print size.
My artboard starts at 13 by 19 inches.
Oh, then we
unless you have the
we're doing oversized no matter what.
Unless you have the oversized screens. We used to have the oversized. They were massive. Like they were like
we have them, but we just tell people that we don't because I hate using them.
It's a headache. Yeah. It's terrible.
Your logo size is 4 inches maximum, 4 inches wide maximum. Trying to think of all the questions that we get. And yes, LA Apparel and Reporter is extremely expensive. We can't control that.
Yeah. That I don't know if that's still happening, but I remember I'm kind of adjacent to these conversations was I'm helping people develop like artwork, and they were like trying to figure out like shirts for camp or not really camp, I guess, because this was during COVID. But I just remember everything was sold out. Like you could get like doo-doo green comfort was like the only comfort color you could buy for a while there. And it's like, oh, we have the navy you want in quadruple XL and infant. Like those are the sizes that are available. But that's such a, and Ash, we've talked about like the stresses, if you're doing stuff on demand for people, like if stuff's off center or they thought the orange was going to be more like brighter and it's more like peachy colored, and like how do you deal with all that? Like it's a messy gig. So thoughts and prayers to all the people who print out there, and again message to all the folks who are considering
I don't even
do stuff.
I don't even size the graphics for clients. I tell them that I'm not responsible for that.
Yeah, because every print shop is different.
I throw stuff up on like a ugly vector, like flat thing, and so like here's kind of what I'm thinking. Yeah. Here's kind of a suggestion on garment color. Work with the printer to nail that down.
Right, I'll mock it up and be like, tell your printer like this is how it should look, and they could figure out the sizing.
Because the printer ultimately is going to mock it up themselves anyway. So there's
no. Usually the printer wants a tech pack that tells you the size and placement of it. So it's like, I want it 3 inches from the neckline. I want it to be 9 inches wide. Usually the artwork should come that way. But for me, we do it for our own stuff, obviously. But like, if you were to come to me, I do a design for you, and you're printing on, again, I don't know what garments you're printing on, so I have nothing to really like base it off of. So yeah, I don't even take that responsibility. There's 2 things I don't do. Spelling is not on me. You guys got to, and I don't do the sizing.
Yeah.
Because that stuff, it's like what you're saying. It's like, it's so messy. It's like it comes back and it's too small.
Yeah, you can't. Well, it's out of your hands at that point. Yeah,
the
you can't.
scariest moment is like opening up that box and like seeing the prints. Like,
and you're like, ooh, hate this.
Offline, misspelled, too small, too big. I'm not taking responsibility.
It's real stress right there when you get the packages back.
Yeah, no way.
The most stressful thing for me when we had a screen printing shop was delivering boxes. Like, because we would usually ship.
Because you're
like,
there.
Yeah, like
with
if you
them
didn't
in
have
that
to physically
moment.
deliver it and they open it in front of you, that's the worst. And I mean, most of the time it would turn out, but like sometimes they'd be like, "Oh, we don't like it." And I'm like, let me talk to the guys. Sorry, like I don't know. What do you want me to do? Like I don't know. It's the worst.
I'm the intern. I can't. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
You're like, your name is literally on the company
girl,
website.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Well, guys, thank y'all so much for showing up today. This has been fantastic and super insightful. As you guys are going out into the world and placing your orders, please remember that not only is there a designer involved in the process, but be thinking about the people in your community that you're ordering for. And then again, please be easy on your merch printers. Those are real humans too. And that's a hard gig to do. Tons of respect for these guys. We've got got links to both amigos down in the show notes here today. Please go buy something before it all sells out, because it will. I know they've talked a lot about it won't, but it always does. And tune in weekly on Fridays. We'll say weekdays. Weekly Fridays at 1 p.m. Eastern. Like, share, subscribe, and share a link to this episode to somebody who needs it. Guys, love y'all. Thanks again for joining us. It's been great.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Of course.
Oh, Josh left. All right. Thank you, guys. Later.
Everybody's out.
Right. Bye.
See ya.